Hey, welcome to the World Warriors of Capcom Cup Players Showcase. I'm Ultra David.
And I'm James Chen. This is the series of videos where we go over all 32 qualifiers for the Capcom Cup, which is going to take place at the Sony PlayStation Experience from December 5th to December 6th. And if you guys don't know what the Capcom Pro Tour is, I'm surprised you're watching this, but in any case, if you don't know what it is and you want to find out more about this, go ahead and check this YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Capcom Fighters TV, and we have recorded an introduction video that talks all about Capcom Pro Tour, Capcom Cup, and all the stuff that's led into this crazy event that's going to take place in San Francisco.
Well, let's talk about somebody who has some experience in the Capcom Cup. That's Xian.
Yes, from Singapore.
Xian from Singapore. The reason I mention his experience is that he has gotten second place at the last two Capcom Cups. Mm-hmm. So he has been there. He hasn't won it yet, but those two second places, that's more consistency than anybody else has shown yet.
Yep. In 2013, he lost to Sako, who won it. And then in 2014, he lost to Momochi. And so this is third year in a row now. And you got to imagine he is gunning for that first place now. So,
yeah. You mentioned the year 2013.
Mm-hmm.
2013, in many ways, was the year of Xian.
Yeah, even though he didn't close out the year with the Capcom Cup win, he pretty much won everything else.
Everything else, pretty much, yeah, including Evo.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it in pretty dominant fashion, And since then, he has remained a top player.
Right.
But and we'll go through some of the tournament results from this year that show that. But I do feel like he doesn't quite get as much sort of respect or maybe thought consideration as some of the other people who have won Evo.
Yeah, it's interesting because Daigo, people gush about him all the time. People know how strong of a player Fudo is. Yeah. Infiltration, right? Momochi, everyone's like, oh my god, these guys are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Shin, it's weird because not like you mentioned, people don't seem to talk about him in that same realm. In fact, I think there was one time we were talking about who the top Street Fighter 4 players were of all time, from vanilla all the way to ultra, who's been the most dominant. And a lot of people put out their list, didn't put Xian on there.
Didn't even have him on there.
Including me.
Oh, wow.
And then as soon as you pointed out, I was like, I just did it. Because I have talked about this so many times that I feel like Xian doesn't get the credit he deserves. And then I did it myself. Because, people just...
I hear you.
I don't know what it is.
I'm not sure either, because I feel that he is a top 5 all-time Street Fighter 4 player. That year, 2013, was all him.
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I was like, whoops, and put him on my list.
That makes sense. So let's say what he has done in Ultra Street Fighter 4.
Sure.
So Southeast Asia Majors 2014, he got 7th. Mm-hmm. Evo 2014, he got 17th.
Right.
Korea CPT Qualifier 2014, first place. Hong Kong Esports 2, second place. Taiwan CPT, 5th place. Tiger Uppercut, 3rd place. Saigon Cup, 1st place. CPT Asia, Singapore Qualifier, 1st. Fall Classic 2014, 2nd. CPT Asia Finals, 2nd place. Capcom Cup 2014, like we said, he got 2nd place. Canada Cup Master Series, 3rd. South by Southwest Invitational, 7th. Final Round 18, he won that. Mm-hmm. He got 1st place. Red Bull Kumite, 5th. Hype Spotting 4, 5th. Topanga World League, 3rd. Southeast Asia Majors 2015, 7th. Evo 2015, he got 17th again. Mm-hmm. CPT Asia Shanghai, 1st place. And then he recently won the KO Fighting Game Festival in Kuwait. So that's a lot of tournaments, and it's a lot of top 8s. And the few times where he doesn't get top 8, it's at Evo, where there are 1,900 or 2,200 people there, and 17th is pretty good.
Top 10th percentile. It's okay.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, it is top.
It's about top 1%.
Yeah, top 1%.
Yeah.
It doesn't even sound right to say that.
Right.
17th place is top 1 percentile, but yeah, that's absolutely what it is. Yeah.
Right. So you can see he is still very, very good, and I think he's a big threat at anything that he goes to.
Oh yeah, but the interesting thing is, again, this year a lot of people talking about all these strong players and everything like that, Xian kind of out of that conversation again. But I think it's a little bit different this year. So last year, it took him a long time before he qualified. He played a while, and he was getting... I remember at the end of the year, because there weren't a lot of Asian events, he was grinding out all those events at the end, finally qualified near the end of 2014. This year, very first event, he qualifies right away, final round. And so I feel like he hasn't felt the need to travel as much. Maybe he's now trying to hide his tech a little bit more. Maybe he's trying to relax a little more. He's obviously gone to a lot of Asian events, you know,
yes.
And he's won like almost every single one that he's gone to and such. And then he's also made it out to Kuwait, like you said. Yeah. But, you know, we haven't seen him at like CEO. We didn't see him at SCR or NCR, like all these other events.
Right.
So, yeah, it's interesting. I'm wondering if that's intentional. You know, I'm trying to figure out what his strategy is here.
I guess we'll see. Yeah, we have seen him pick up a few new characters. So he's most known for Gen.
Yes,
right. He was the Gen who, you know, other people had done a lot of groundwork on that character, but he's the one who really made it a top contender, and really the only person who ever has done that. And of course, he won Evo with that character, but he's kept it around. Also, now has picked up Elena, Poison, even Sagat.
Right.
Depending on matchups.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it seems to be doing. He's picking characters specifically for specific matchups.
And in some cases, specific players. Even.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, look, a lot of people know this. He has a demon against Zangief.
Yeah. And
maybe in particular Snake Eyes. You know, I'm not sure, but he's had problems against Zangief. But that's why he's picking up a lot of these different characters, right? So you mentioned Sagat.
Right.
That's like specifically designed to fight against Zangief.
Yes.
So, but again, he's just, I mean, he's a really strong player. I don't know what it is about him that people seem to forget. So
I don't know. As far as his playstyle goes, I think of him as offensive, but with an excellent mid-range game, and he can play patiently and almost kind of lamely at times, with an eye always to getting in ultimately.
Right, and it's interesting to me because I feel like that's kind of new Xian, because even in the year of Xian, he was a pretty aggressive player. Very setup heavy, liked to go for a lot of little cross-up tricks with the wall dives and such like that. And, you know, he liked to hit buttons a lot of the times. And that was actually one of the reads that I've heard other top players say about him. Okay. They're like, oh, I know he likes to hit buttons, so I can punish him for doing that. And yes, you're right. Like, recently, from the last few times that we have seen him in tournaments, I feel like that's been toned down a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. In the video that we're going to watch, which is from Final Round, he's going to play against Momochi, and there are moments in there where he just has immaculate spacing. I remember also talking with him after Capcom Cup last year, and he was very proud of himself that he made Luffy misplace slide a lot. He was outside of that slide.
Yeah.
You know, he was in there and walked out, and it was...
That was
just the right timing and placing, which very few people can do.
Yeah, and that was literally how he won. He punished Luffy's slide. I remember 5 times during that match. So
that's really something that you have to look for from him. He also is very technical, excellent execution, like you said, setup heavy, but great at finding those. You know, some people who are top players are not the same people always as the ones who find stuff. They're just people who use it. But he is somebody who finds a lot of stuff as well. So I have a lot of respect for that side of him.
Yeah, again, I've talked about this in you know, a lot of the videos is science versus emotion players. And yeah, Xian is definitely a scientist. He definitely leans towards the scientist side, and the tech that he finds, execution, all these kind of things like that. So.
Yeah, agreed. Well, you want to hop into that video?
Yeah, no problem. Let's do this. So this is, again, Final Round.
Yes.
In Atlanta, Georgia, to start the Capcom Pro Tour this entire year. This is the first event. Not only that, too, but remember, this is kind of like, I don't want to say fresh off of Momochi's win from Capcom Cup.
A few months later,
but this was still at the point in time where no one thought that Momochi could lose.
Right. And, you know, because Momochi won Capcom Cup, he's already qualified here. So Xian getting to Grand Finals means that he's qualified already. But, of course, he wants to win.
Right. Plus, another thing is he did it by beating Momochi in winner's bracket.
Yes.
6 rounds to 1. It was pretty much a dominating performance.
And and especially that's interesting because he lost to Momochi at Capcom Cup. That was a problem for him. So he went in the lab and studied it. And I think you can see that in this set.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because one of the things that I noticed was he pokes with low strong in the hands. That's one of Gen's best offenses.
Sure.
But you're going to see a few times where Xian actually doesn't do the hands off of low strong. And I feel like he realizes when you block, see, like right there, when you block the hands, you're a little negative afterwards, and it gives the opponent a chance to kind of turn the momentum around.
Right.
So I think Xian, by doing it sometimes and not always doing it, he's keeping the opponent guessing, oh, now is my time to go in. Oh, wait, he didn't do the hands. And I think that's one of the big improvements that he has had.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. So watch for where Ken's step kick is. That time it was yes, perfect spacing.
With fierce. He punished it with fierce.
Yeah, like maximum punish. Just excellent spacing. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Ooh, a little bit of that Momochi tech into some style. Wow. Yeah,
of course, he makes big use of focus. Focus is one of Gen's better tools.
It was the furthest range focus until Ultra. They actually shortened the distance a little bit, but
still good.
Yeah, but still very, very good. But yeah, I mean, just one of those things. Low strong, no hands. Low strong, no hands. He's using it for the annoying poke that it is, as opposed to always just trying to do little chips here and there. Because he loses momentum when he gets the chip. But see, look at this. Look how patient he's playing. This is not something I would have expected from Xian in 2013.
And I really feel like this is the result of Momochi seeing his step kick get punished with fierce. All right, like he's already seen. Okay, I can't whip that. I can whip it against most people, but against Xian, no. And so you saw a lot of that round, especially towards the end, was Momochi waiting, throwing some fireballs. Because what else are you gonna do with that range?
Right.
Again, excellent punish.
Yeah, always maximizing the damage. And it's really interesting too, because sometimes he finishes the waterfall kick, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he does 7 out of 8. Sometimes he just does 3. He keeps changing the timing up, and I feel like he does it on purpose just to keep the opponent guessing. But obviously, Momochi here going to take game 1.
Yeah, Momochi's a good player.
He's okay.
Pretty good. Yeah. But there were some really good things from Xian in that game, even in the loss.
Yeah. You can already see. And keep in mind, like we were already mentioned this a bunch of times, he just lost to Momochi. And I kind of remember at Capcom Cup, I don't remember how close it was when they fought against each other.
It was a blow-up.
It was a blow-up,
yeah, and he was sad about it.
Yeah, okay.
And so you could really see in this, in the previous set that they played as well, in this tournament, but in this one too, that he's really studied it up.
Yeah, see right there. No button pushes.
Yes.
No button presses. Again, not a lot of button presses. And I feel like that's just one of the big changes that he's had. He's really dialed a lot of stuff down, and that's just made him such a stronger player. No longer has this weakness that a lot of guys can take advantage of. Yeah, movement very crisp as well. See the nice backdashes. Good challenges.
Yeah, I love that interrupt because he had backdashed in that situation a lot of times.
Backdashed or just blocked.
Right.
So Momochi just kind of probably got the feeling like he could be a little aggressive.
Sure.
And now here comes Xian being a little more aggressive. And then, of course, Xian... Gen, I should say, just makes such good use of that meter as well. Every time he has 2 bars, it's so scary.
Yeah. Great combos out of that, great spacing out of that. Once he gets 4, which he's about to, is a major threat.
Yep.
Basically, all of his confirms.
Super into Ultra.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, even though there were jabs in there, even though there was a short in there, that's always going to do damage. Yeah. Super into Ultra is always going to do damage.
Honestly, if you have Super and Ultra... I think Zangief might be the scariest character, and then Gen. Those 2 are probably the scariest to me. And then maybe Yun.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yun is somewhere in
Yun's
there as
in
well.
there.
But Gen is definitely a scary one. The reason why it doesn't feel as threatening necessarily as Zangief and Yun is just because we don't see a lot of Gens.
Oh, yeah, this is the only Gen at high level.
Yeah, But again, very patient in footsies, not hitting a lot of extraneous buttons. Maybe just that low strong is the catch step kicks that he's trying to get. Because that poke is ridiculous, by the way. Gen's
Down
low,
strong?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's very
Gen's
good.
low strong is ridiculous. Because I used to think Gen's stand forward in the hands was super good. I thought stand forward was a great poke. Then I saw Xian abusing low strong, and I was like, that's actually better.
Yeah, it's very good. So he took that risk in the previous game, and he got punished big time for it. Lost the round, but still willing to do it.
He's doing a lot of little staggers there. You see low short stagger, low short low
Yes.
jab, and it's going to pay off. It's going to pay off for him a lot of times.
That is just making step kick miss, and that's so hard to do, especially Momochi's step kicks.
God, harassing with that button.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
See, no
weeding it
buttons,
out.
no-
Yeah.
Oh, see,
Looking
perfect.
for little counter pokes.
That was perfect. He didn't touch a button. He just walked around, dashed around, and he did a backdash. And that's one of those subtle, like subconscious cues for the opponent to kind of walk in.
Yes.
And he backdashed and immediately took a step, low strong hands, and caught Momochi out of that.
Kind of unorthodox jump timings as well. Yeah, both of those were.
Yeah, but you see already 2 staggers in a row in 10 seconds of that match. Low short, low jab. You
Right.
know? It's definitely something that he's starting to use a lot more.
Yeah, great usage of that. I really like what his corner pressure is, too. He's not afraid to just control in the corner like this. Like, look at this. It's not, again, perfect spacing. You know, he's not rushing in too hard because he knows that he has that spot. That spot is such a good control location.
Yeah. That is not easy.
No.
With punishing a Ken step kick. Let me tell you, that is...
Against any Ken, but against Momochi is amazing.
Right.
Somebody with the timings and spacings of Momochi, and Xian is making a miss.
Yeah, we've talked about Mochi a million times. His spacing is ridiculous.
Yes.
And to get him to whiff that step kick and then be able to whiff punish it is like doubly impressive.
Yeah, again, he's just controlling at that location.
Wow.
Yeah, that's very impressive.
Such a good poke.
But it's coming from exactly the right spot on screen.
Right.
And we haven't talked too much about this part of it, but Gen is a character that has 2 stances, right? He has punch stance and kick stance, with pretty different options. One thing I really like about Xian is that he's able to go between them really well. You know, you rarely see when he makes the switch. You just have to sort of expect that he'll have, you know, for example, kick mode down roundhouse anti-air all the time, even though, like, the kick mode cross-up medium kick, right? He just, there it is.
Right.
So I love that he doesn't make it obvious when that's coming.
Yeah, and there's 2 different jump arcs, too, on there, so he uses that to his advantage a lot as well. It's really hard to tell if... Because at certain distances, in one mode, he won't cross up, and in the other mode, he will, so... It just makes it so tricky to have to deal with.
Again, here's that corner control.
But see how... Okay, you're going to see this a lot more later on in the round, but there's a lot of times when Mochi gets that jump, and he just doesn't challenge it. He just says, you know what, okay, I'm going to have to play solid defense here. I'm blocking the air hurricane.
Yeah.
And I'm going to play solid defense. And I like that because, again, I don't feel like that's something that he used to do, you know? It's just very patient play. Willing to play some strong defense.
I love the walking forward. You know, that is such a threat. Oh, and the predictive jump kick. Like I said, he has unorthodox jump timings in a lot of situations, and Momochi wasn't expecting a jump toward there. I mean, he hadn't seen jump toward over a fireball in this set yet. Why would he think it would come there?
Right.
But great job by Xian to mix it up.
And again, see how consistent he is with these combos as well. Again, combos are not easy.
No.
Hand slap, FADC, dash forward, strong. Not an easy combo to do. And that's just kind of an example of where one of Xian's strengths lies and really is the technical proficiency that he has. He is definitely one of the most execution consistent players.
Agreed.
Which is funny because he started the game using Dhalsim.
That's true. Street Fighter 4, yeah.
Doesn't have a lot of the crazy combos.
I'm glad he made the switch. Smart man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See
there's
right
that
there.
block you're talking about. He just got the super. Didn't want to spend it, I guess, but very close to taking it anyway.
Yeah. I know. Ooh, but good defense. Again, just blocking, but he did get opened up a little bit. And look, he's not going in. He's willing to just chill here for a little bit. Nobody saw that coming.
Nobody, yeah. Because nobody's seen that move in a year. You know, when's the last time you saw EX roll?
Nobody uses that move.
It's not very fast is the reason why, but from that exact spot, sure.
Right, and all those little staggers that he did rewarded him with that forward throw in that situation.
Oh, perfect. Just outside of crouch tech. Amazing.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's just excellent spacing.
Yeah, I mean, you got to imagine now, again, Momochi here. I'm sorry, Xian, sitting here at tournament point.
Something he does as well that I think is interesting is that when he notices that Momochi seems to have sort of the better situation in footsies, he'll just backdash and just sort of reset the situation. I have good enough walk speed and mobility that I can just come back in. I just want to make sure that Momochi does not have any control.
Right. I mean, Street Fighter is all about ranges. At certain ranges, you have an advantage. At certain ranges, the other guy has an advantage. That's just interaction of normals and specials. And sometimes you have a choice between going closer, which is better for you, or farther away, which is better for you when you're in a bad range. And sometimes going away is the better idea.
Yeah.
And a lot of people realize that.
So again, there's that spot on screen. Oh, well, there was the step kick. He outranged it, although didn't get the whiff punish.
Yeah, this part is pretty crazy because, like I said, Gen is a scary character when he has all that meter, right? And one low short, you're dead.
Yeah.
And the fact that Momochi lived throughout that last half of the round where any low short would have killed him was actually pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know this is Shin's video, but come on, that was pretty good. Now, I remember when Daigo and Xian played each other at a tournament, one of the things Daigo did was that he kind of baited Xian into using a lot of his meter.
Right. And I think that's something that Momochi does here. He's throwing fireballs pretty consistently from that range. Momochi knows the ranges.
Right.
You know, he's not doing that for no reason.
Right.
So now Xian with no super for the rest of the round and not much of a life disadvantage for Momochi. So I think that's pretty cool. But, you know, from Xian's perspective, I guess you get the damage while you can.
Right. But, you know, I just feel like Gen is one of those characters that needs to have meter to be threatening. And so, you know, one of the things that I hope Xian, when he watched this, was probably like, maybe he did bait out my super. And that was probably a mistake. Because you're going to see right here, Momochi, even though he gets hit with a super into a full combo at the beginning of that, he's going to take it. Yeah. And so, like I said, Daigo beat Xian 10-0 in an exhibition after Xian won Evo.
Right.
And according to Daigo, and Z has actually, so Z, a really prolific commentator out in the East Coast, not East Coast, in Asia, East Asia, has said that quote was a little misquoted.
Okay.
But Daigo has said something to the effect of that he would get hit by a hand slap FADC, so he couldn't do super ultra, as often. But I'm not sure how realistic that is.
Okay. Oh, what a reaction. And then that setup right there, I don't know where you should have blocked that. Yeah. Who knows?
See, if it was in punch mode, he probably would have ended up in front.
Yeah.
But, another situation, you hear us talk about this a lot, is player mentality and just the metal of the mind, and he was at tournament point. And he just lost 2 rounds in a row to Momochi, to the guy who beat him at Capcom Cup, and here we go, but he's remained as solid as ever. And again, that stagger paid off for him right there.
And good with execution at the end. That's Xian.
Look, execution, when you see people drop execution, I still say that 90% of the time, dropped execution is nerves. Something that you see them do a bunch of times and then they drop it, it's just nerves. It kind of has a nickname of the Wong factor because people kept doing that to Justin Wong.
Yeah, once you get nervous, you're liable to make mistakes. But that's not something that really impacts Xian. He's been in all these big situations before.
Hey, you saw that perfect round-ending combo last time.
Yep,
so
exactly.
Great staggers again, and then he uses that for the throw. Oof.
Yeah, nice little setup. This is something he loves. So that off the wall, it can cross up, actually, if Ken did the quick rise.
Right.
Momochi's pretty smart, stayed away from that. But I like that Xian still goes for that stuff.
Yeah.
2009 tech. Useful.
I mean, he's only done it 3 times out of all the out of 5 games.
Oh, sure, yeah. It's not something
nice
he goes to very often. Yeah.
But again, Gen is sitting here almost full bar. Oh, he's so scary. Oh, yeah, that...
What a good jump. Again, how many times did he jump forward over a fireball in that set? I think 2.
Yeah, and he landed both of them. They were both round enders.
They were both round enders. Yeah. So I think that set is good because it shows a lot of what Xian brings to the table. He has excellent offense and setups, yes, but he also just has excellent mid-range footsies, the reactions that you need to whiff punish a Ken step kick with fierce.
With fierce, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's very, very impressive.
We saw him punish it with low strong once, but he punished it with fierce. So in other words, he knew the exact distance he was at that he could punish it with you higher damage punish than just doing low strong into hands. That's ridiculous. That's so good. That's so good. So, look, like I said, I've made the mistake before, but Xian, easily one of the best Street Fighter 4 players of all time throughout the whole entire series. A lot of us didn't know about him until 2013.
Oh, yeah,
because
you're right.
that's when he started traveling more. But he had been playing since the start of Vanilla, and he was really good the whole entire time. So.
Yeah, he really came up about a year before then, but that's, of course, when he made his big moment was in 2013, and he's been up there since. So when it comes to Capcom Cup, what is an obstacle that you see coming up for him?
I feel like the biggest thing that maybe might get in his way is his own brain, because he's finished second place in 2 Capcom Cups, and that pressure that you're going to put on yourself to be like, you know, always a bridesmaid, never a bride. No, I'm doing this time. I'm going to win this one.
Yeah.
And if he puts too much pressure on himself, that might start, cranking up the nerves. That we saw that he did not have, landing those execution combos, and I'm knocking things over on the side here. But, that might actually get him a little bit more nervous. If he can avoid that, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. So
yeah, for me, it's just that we haven't seen him as much this year.
Right, we talked about that, yeah.
I'm not sure that that's a problem, but he hasn't been getting as much high-level sort of public competition. Presumably he's still grinding it out. It's, of course I expect him to be prepared, but it has been a problem for some other players that when they retreat a little bit, they don't do as well.
Yeah,
that has happened to quite a few players over the last couple of years.
Yeah, even like for example, Daigo himself. There was the one year where he just refused to go to tournaments. He refused to have his matches streamed, and then he didn't do so well that year. So yeah, I mean, obviously, as you mentioned before with the results, he's still traveling to a lot of the Asia tournaments. He did make it out to Kuwait, but definitely, I'm surprised we haven't seen him in the States as often. Yeah, because I remember in 2014 we saw him a bunch of times
every month, basically.
Yeah. So, yeah, but as you said, probably not
that big of an issue. What do you think it'll take for him to win? What's something that needs to happen?
Look, he's already super good, right? So he's finished twice in a row. If he can play like he was just playing right now, that we saw in that match, video. If he can remain calm, if he can keep away from all of his bad habits and still play like this. I mean, look, it's scary to say that I feel like 2015 Xian is probably a little more improved than 2013 Xian, because that's how good he was.
I think you're right.
Right? But if he can just keep that going, I don't know. It just sounds like to me, I really think a lot of it just comes down to his mental state.
I want him to make sure that his Sagat is in good order. Because Zangief has been a problem for him. But it's not just Sagat. It's making sure that he has the right tool for the right situation, regardless of what situation comes up. We've seen him pick poison in a couple of situations where that didn't work out that well. He's been picking up Elena. And I hope that all that stuff is ready to go. If he has that answer for different matchups, different players, not just characters, but players, then I think he'll do really well. Yeah,
there's a potential to be maybe 2 or 3 Zangiefs in the tournament. And like we said, he's had a history of losing to Zangief. And in fact, even I think at this last EVO, he came really close to beating Snake Eyes. He went to Elena versus Snake Eyes, and he still lost that match. So, again, Zangief is just a problem with him. So, yeah, you're probably right. If he can just make sure that he has like a pocket Sagat like Xiao Hai has, for example, exactly. Then he should be able to do well. So.
Yeah. What about overall predictions? What are you gonna say?
Second place.
Second place.
Second place. He's gonna get second place. No.
Yeah, I feel like if this were a sports thing, that we would just be making a whole lot of hay on the fact that it's been, second place 2 in a row.
Right.
Oh, man. Can he escape history?
I mean,
I think he'll do well.
Like we said, he's one of the top 5 players of Street Fighter 4 of all time. And so I wouldn't be surprised to see him do super well at this event again.
Agreed.
So 2 years in a row, let's make it 3. I mean, look, yes, 2 second places, but that also means 2 grand finals.
Even though he hasn't won either of them, he's been the most consistent top player, or top placer.
That's true.
At both. So, yeah.
All right. So, yeah, look for him to do some big damage, and look for, hopefully we'll get to see a lot of Xian at the Capcom Cup. Again, that's going to be taking place at the Sony PlayStation Experience. The Sony PlayStation Experience is taking place December 5th through 6th in San Francisco. If you're there, get some tickets.
It's going to be good. Yeah, but if you can't make it, it will be streamed live on twitch.tv/Capcom Fighters.
Mm-hmm. And follow Capcom Fighters as well on Twitter to get all the updates for remaining Capcom Fighters events, and just to get all the words and news and crazy things to expect coming up at Capcom Cup. I'm super excited for that. So.
If you like this kind of thing where we talk about players and analysis and fighting game news and all sorts of stuff like
community goings on.
Yep. We talk about that on our own channel, which is youtube.com and twitch.tv/UltraChenTV.
Yeah, you can also follow us on Twitter at UltraChenTV.
All right. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you at Capcom Cup.